Hi, Amda. This is nice to meet you. You are the co-author of Online Dating Misadventures, and we are glad to have you as a co-author of this book, really. Now,
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
I'd like to know something about you before we dive right into the conversation.
Of course. I am 29. I like to model myself as a lighthouse of hope and healing for survivors of domestic abuse, sexual violence, financial and narcissistic abuse. I've kind of dealt with my own issues since I was a child. So, I like to write to inspire other people to cope through life and speak about it as well. I like to unravel life's messiest things with kind of with grace and definitely with a little bit of sass. I'm a girl, so that's kind of what happens. Um, I'm going through my own journey of self-discovery, as is everybody else in society. So I just like to be as authentic as possible and just kind of remind people that we can do this, we can get through life.
That's very inspiring and really
Thank
interesting to
you.
know.
Thank you.
So let's dive into the interview, and I'd like to ask you the first question, which is going to be what inspired you to start writing poetry?
Honestly, like I said, life survival, realizing that verbalizing my own chaotic thoughts, it's not bad, especially in verse it's raw and humanizing. It really is.
Okay. So, how do you approach the process of crafting a poem from initial inspiration to final revisions?
Honestly, I kind of go through a three-step process. First thing to do is, observe the situation and feel your feelings, whether it be trauma or something beautiful. Um, the second step would be to, you know, go through the process, whether it be I have to cry about it, laugh about it, or process it. Jot it down, key phrases that come into my mind. I always have post-it notes on me, so I'll always take a post-it, and if a certain word pops in my head, I will just kind of do what you guys do with word prompts and use that as a word prompt. And my third step is kind of when I'm not like triggered by a trauma anymore, I go in and edit that poem with my logical mind and just see if it really makes sense and is worth sharing to people.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
So, what techniques or literary devices do you often use in your poetry and why?
Um, since I was a girl, I've always used similes and metaphors to kind of give people that visualization. I always fell in love with that alliteration and um, always my own personality. I definitely put a little bit of spice in things as an Afro Latina. I mean, I just kind of bring that to the table. It's kind of natural. Um, life's messy truth. They need to have a little glitter on them to sting less. They have to sparkle. So
Okay, interesting. That's
thank
something.
you.
Add a little spice. That's something everybody, each one of us needs in our life, really.
I think
Even
so. I mean, I'm a big Spice Girls fan from when I was young, so I'm big on spicing up my life.
so, can you discuss the significance of language and word choice in your work? How do you choose which words to utilize in a poem?
Language and word choice, it has the power to make or break any poem. Um, and art's supposed to make you feel something. So I personally let my words marinate in my emotions. And then, like I said before, I edit with logic. And if it doesn't punch, prick, or like hug you, give you love, it's gotta go. It's out.
Amazing. I
Thank
mean, it's something like I must add here and intervene that it's if you can marinate and feel it, then the other person who's reading it will also get the same. you know?
Yeah, or some kind of feeling, even if it's not a good one towards my work, that's a feeling is a feeling, it's valid.
Here's a serious one, or I don't know, bubbly one. Are there
Yeah.
specific events in your life that heavily influence your poems?
Definitely. Every awkward family reunion, whether it be like Christmas or Thanksgiving each year, heartache, and definitely like my own personal barriers that I've broken and shattered. Um, Life in my home behind closed doors wasn't always the prettiest, from childhood to adulthood. So I kind of always found that silver lining and made it beautiful. Life is definitely simple but complex all at the same time. So I take all of that, if that makes
I must pinpoint here that you did not specify any specific, any particular
specific.
event.
I mean, it's definitely a little bit heavy, but definitely when I was younger, my father, he is a recreational drug user and addict, and alcoholic. So a lot of events with him definitely molded my poetry into just like coming off as the strong person that I am, that I coped with that. And him, he was a narcissist. He still is trying to kind of like take certain things from me. So I try to remain authentic in my work and make sure that his abuse, that's kind of like the heavy influence, I guess.
I just want to add here that we have published one author. The title of that book is Unheard Whispers. It's by Diane C. Brele.
Okay.
Braley. You must look that up. It's on child abuse and how a troubled childhood. Basically, she's gone through a troubled childhood and similar situations.
Very
So
nice.
it's
Well, not
something
nice.
to relate with. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
going onwards, do you draw inspiration from other art forms like music or painting?
I do. I definitely like to call myself a multimedia artist. Any kind of music, I love music. So if a beat or any kind of words kind of get to me, I like to bring that into my poetry as well. Or a moody painting, I love painting. I paint myself. So anything that can make me feel and just kind of spark my brain a little bit faster than a discount candle, I definitely do draw inspiration from.
Think I'm really bowled over, from
Thank you.
what you're sharing, and it's amazing, really amazing.
Thank you.
Are there any poets or works of poetry that have mainly influenced your writing style or themes? How have they inspired you?
Yes, I definitely love traditional poetry, but I'm more into modern poetry. So right now, Rupi Kaur and Samantha King Holmes, they are my top two favorite poets. Rupi is transparent in her journey with her own trauma and abuse and how she felt while making the best attempt to heal. So that inspired my journey for sure. And Samantha King Holmes, her book, Don't Tell Me Not to Ask Why, that specifically taught me the beauty of just releasing my own traumas through verse and art. I love also Maya Angelou and Sylvia Plath. They taught me pain, power, and poetry all together, all in one, And Tupac Shakur. I'm from New York. I'm an Afro Latina. I come from a background where the odds in America are against me. So I was born to always be that rose growing from concrete and flourishing.
Oh, it's a battle. Life's a battle, and I can see that in your story. I'm
Yeah,
sure it will inspire a lot of people to be courageous after listening to what you're saying here.
I hope so. Thank you. I personally feel if I can do it and cope with life, anybody can. I really do.
So, does it hurt you to write poetry?
Yeah, I mean, but it's the good kind of truth that comes from poetry. So it kind of hurts, but it heals all at one time. It's nice.
It's rare, really, to have a person feel hurt whilst writing poetry.
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. Like
It's
they
supposed to,
try
yeah, it's supposed
to,
to make you feel like lovey and yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree. And I
Oh,
just
wow.
read it to release trauma. So I mean, sometimes it definitely can hurt, definitely. You know. Yeah.
So, can you love a poem that says what you don't want to hear?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna side eye it at first and be like, but eventually, yeah, I come to love it, you know. My traumas came from people like my dad, who he's an insecure person that projected I was unlovable and I was the issue that needed help while I was even getting my help. Um, Remembering that I did enable those people by not knowing boundaries until adulthood can always sting. That's always like a slap in the face when you hear it in a poem, you know? It's okay. But eventually I do love it. That's what Samantha Kim Holmes' book did teach me as well. Her work. Yeah.
Okay. So we have this one peppy one here. What was the inspiration behind your most recent poem?
Honestly, the audacity of life. It was served with a sprinkle of hope and a dash of shade, definitely. My latest poem is called Turkish Delight. And basically, it embodies the White Witch of Narnia, the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh,
Um, yeah, when
wow.
I started to speak up about what my father did in childhood, and even until 4 years ago, he didn't stop until I was 24. Um, he actually gifted me Turkish Delight as if I was Edmund and betraying him like he was the White Witch. You know, it was very, very ironic and weird. All because I spoke up against him for what he did. It was weird.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you are published with us in a book titled Online Dating Misadventures.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to say about the book or maybe recite the poem that is included in that book? If that is completely up to you. You can say no, but yes, if you'd like to, it's very welcome.
I don't know if I want to
No,
recite,
that's all right. Absolutely all
but
right. So, but we are very happy to have you in that book,
thank you.
And
I'm
it's really
sorry.
a
I feel
pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I have not officially really like I've read my work in my head and I have limited exposure, so I've never really read it out loud. I don't know if I'll cry, honestly.
I can relate with that.
Thank
Sometimes
you.
when you write something, you want others to read and then say, but
Yeah.
you're not able to read it out yourself. And it's
I yeah, I'm definitely still in my healing journey. So one day I know I'll be able to read this out loud and really
feel it.
let it marinate in a beautiful way versus like crying, you know? But my two poems that were published in the book are With Caution and Toxic Masculinity. They're definitely based off of like kind of traumatic experiences. There are crazy people in the world, as you know. um, but I enjoyed the entire book. I love the collection of authors in there, and I was really happy that I loved your suggestion in sharing our work and donating it to our local library too for people to enjoy.
The
That was,
last but not the least, I'd like your authorization to put this out on social media if you allow me
of course,
this interview.
of
All right,
course.
that's good enough. Great. So, with this, we come to the end of the interview. I'm glad we had this conversation,
Me too. Thank
and
you.
we hope that the viewers enjoy our
Me
session.
too. Thank you so much, Akshay. I appreciate you.